Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the June 26th, 2025 meeting of the Village of Pinehurst Historic Preservation Commission. The purpose of this commission is to decide applications for certificates of appropriateness for new construction or major work within the Pinehurst Historic District, and to do so by conducting hearings and making findings of fact when such applications come before us. By law, the commission is directed to take no action except to prevent construction or alterations that would be incongruous with the special character of the historic district. My name is Richard Vincent. I'm the chair of the commission. And I'll ask each commissioner, starting from my left, to state his or her name for the record.
Joe Iverson.
Justin Bramlage.
Kara Mathis.
David Herring.
Thank you. Paul Roberts and Angelique Fabiani are not present. However, we have 5 of us here. We do have a quorum, so we'll proceed. And also present from staff who will be presenting is Michael Mandeville and Maria Klein. Thank you. I'll keep this really quick. This is my last meeting. I'll try not to get emotional. This has been 6 years for me, and it's been an honor and a privilege to serve with you, all of you. 6 years has gone quick, and what inspired me to first do this is I was sitting as an applicant 6, 7 years ago and had a major COA, and it inspired me then to do this and volunteer and help out. Rough numbers, I think I've served with 15 fellow commissioners over the 6 years, 3 different chairs, and then myself, 14 different staff members, believe it or not, over 6 years, and over 250 cases. So it's been a real privilege. So I'm hoping the village will accept me in some other capacity to volunteer moving forward, but it's been a true honor, so thank you. So last meeting, 7 cases on the docket. We'll make it a good one. Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of the last meeting. All the commissioners have had a chance to have been provided with copies of the draft minutes. Are there any commissioners that have any comments to last meeting's minutes? Seeing none, is there any commissioner that would be willing to make a motion? Motion from Joe Iverson, second from Kara Mathis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. May we now have a motion to enter into the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Kara Mathis, second from David Herring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in the public hearing. Bear with me, because this is the long part, but I think it's helpful to understand our process and what we do here. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. That means that anyone desiring to testify tonight or this afternoon will be sworn in, and the commissioner is required to consider only facts presented in this hearing. The proceedings are video recorded, and I'll ask the commissioners if they had visited any of the sites on our docket today, and whether they've also had any ex parte communications with respect to any of the cases, the 7 cases we'll be considering today. I'll start with you, Joe.
No ex parte communication and have visited all sites.
Visited all sites, no ex parte communication.
I have visited all the sites. I have had a phone conversation with the applicant of 35 Short Road, but that was really procedural, very high level, nothing substantive related to the case, and nothing that would impact my ability to make a fair and impartial decision tonight.
Visited all the sites, no ex parte communication.
Visited all, no communication.
Thank you. In each case, the commissioners will hear this afternoon. Staff will first present a summary of the application, their evaluation to the extent which that application complies with our standards for such an application, or whether it raises any issues that require further information, the staff's comments on the application, and also, where appropriate, staff's recommendations for commission action. Application and its supporting documents, as well as the staff's detailed report, will then be entered into the record. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question staff about the report and the testimony. And next, the applicant or the applicant's representatives will have an opportunity to come up here, get sworn in, and provide additional information supporting the application, also addressing any questions that may have arisen from staff's testimony. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question you. After your presentation, if there is any member in the public that wishes to present any evidence, either in support or in opposition to the application, this will be the opportunity to come forward at that time, identify themselves, and then give their testimony. I'll swear you in at that time, and please remember, we are only interested in facts that will help us decide whether this proposed work would be congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District. As chair, I have the right to exclude any testimony that is not relevant to the subject, but I'm also not required to do so. Finally, we will then have an opportunity to question you about your testimony, and if the applicant or staff wishes to respond, I'll permit them to do so. Staff, Michael, why don't you come up? Let me swear you and Maria in. So Michael Mandeville, Maria Klein, if you would raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to all the cases on the docket today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Seeing as though the business side has been done, why don't we move along to the first case? Thank you.
Our first COA, the purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for an addition to the rear facade at 120 Seville Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 201-90033. The property owners are Sean and Janet Suggs, and the applicant is Bartlett Construction. So the applicant is proposing to construct an addition which would be attached to the existing dwelling with a breezeway, and it will be in the rear yard. All the materials that they'll be using will match the existing structure, the brick, roofing, doors, windows, and colors. It is new construction or additions, not considered to be minor work, which makes it major work, which needs review from this board. It was noticed in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina general statutes, and you can see our subject property in the hatched out area. The properties outlined in red were the notified properties. So here we have a site plan, and you can see the existing dwelling and the proposed addition in the rear yard. Elevations for the addition will match the house. Colors and materials to be used, all matching what's on the existing house. So the applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. You will need to determine if the addition is congruous with the historic district and meets the standards. And I would like to enter into the record the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Thank you, Maria. Without objection, materials referred to by staff are hereby admitted into the record. Commissioners, any questions for staff? Okay. Seeing none, if the applicant is here, this would be an opportunity to hear from the applicant. Whichever you prefer. I'm going to have you stand first, and I'll swear you in. If you can state your first name, spell your last name, and then I'll swear you in.
Evan Bartlett, B-A-R-T-L-E-T-T.
Thank you. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat. So, Mr. Bartlett, you had an opportunity to hear staff's presentation. Anything you'd like to add?
So I built the original house, and that's 4 years ago. Got to know the Suggs very well as we built their house. He is just retired, so this is his final home. So this is kind of his overall vision of how he wants to live the rest of his life at this location. So be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Okay, thank you. Fellow commissioners? I feel like I have to ask something because no one's saying anything here. Usually I'm the one that keeps quiet.
There's not a shingle on the entire house.
No operable shutters. I mean, it's same materials, same look, same feel, same everything. It's
And
just
and
expanded
It's at the
square
rear of the
footage.
property. It's at the rear of the property, so
Yeah.
it's really not noticeable.
Oh, yeah, from the side, from the front of the house, you wouldn't even know it was there. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, it's just everything matches, try to look like it's original, so.
Oh, I remember the original case. Yep. So, okay, so no other questions for the applicant? Um, You're welcome to go back where you're more comfortable, or you're welcome to sit there as well.
Take darts here if I.
Let's see. Okay, so no more questions for the applicant. Is there any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence either in support or in opposition to this application? This is your opportunity to come forward. Seeing none, we'll move right along. Okay, we can go ahead and close the record in this case. Commissioners, any deliberation, or is someone ready to make a motion?
Ready to make a motion.
Thank you, David.
I move the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness and find the proposed major work at 120 Sallow Row is consistent with the Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact.
Motion made by David Herring. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joe Iverson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Congratulations, you have your COA. Thank you.
Gonna hand it over to Michael. I'll be back.
Second case whenever you're ready, Michael.
Evening, everybody. It's good to see y'all. Okay, so this second case, the purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for the addition of a pool, addition of a rear yard fence, and the removal of side street trees at 50 Orange Road. The property is identified as Moore County PID number 000030102, and the property owner is Orange Road Trust, and the applicant is SCKA Properties. A little bit of background. The applicant requests a COA for an addition of an in-ground pool, addition of a rear yard fence, and removal of side trees. The property is further identified as Moore County PID number 301. Primary structure was built in 1950, is plus or minus 0.542 acres. The pool is 29 feet 8 inches by 12 feet 6 inches, and it will be surrounded by a 5-foot black metal fence. And additionally, the applicant proposes to remove 8 trees greater than 12 inches diameter breast height on the side street of the property. The major work includes the installation of in-ground swimming pools, the removal of healthy trees 12 inches or larger, and the diameter breast height along the front or side street of a property that are not located within the right-of-way, and minor works, items not approved by the village planner, and that would be the fence. We could approve that in-house, but since we're asking for other things, I had the applicant put that as part of this application. As you can see, in this public hearing was noticed in accordance with the Pinehurst Development Ordinance and North Carolina General Statutes 160D 406. You can see the hatched area is our subject property. It is on the corner of Orange and Community Road, runs on the side. The front faces out this way, which is Orange, and this is the side street here. As you see, here's a site plan, and this is where your pool's going to be, directly behind the house right here. Here are some examples of, this is the 29 feet by 8 inch by 12.6 pool. Here's what they are hoping for it to look like. And here's an example of what the fence will look like. And here are the locations, approximately the locations of the trees on the property. You can see there's 1 tree here, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 and 6 right here, and then the back corner there is number 7 and 8. So that's where the applicant's asking for the trees to be removed. The applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission will need to determine if the installation of an in-ground swimming pool and the removal of the trees is congruous with the historic district and meets the historic district standards. The installation of the rear yard fence is considered minor work and could be approved by staff. At this time, I would like to enter the following in the record: the staff report with the attachments and exhibits, the presentation, as well as the application and the applicant's materials and exhibits. And I will take any questions from the committee, if you have any for me right now.
Thank you, Michael. Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Fellow commissioners, any questions for staff?
One question, are any of the trees in the right-of-way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Point of clarification, we don't have anything to do with permeable surfaces. This is just aesthetic.
Correct.
Okay.
But that is something that has been discussed, and we're okay with it.
Okay.
Questions for staff?
Can I ask too, is the tree removal for the pool, or is that just a separate?
I'll let the applicant speak to that.
Okay, if there's no other questions for staff, if the applicant's here, we'll hear from the applicant. Hi, I'm going to ask you if you could speak as clearly into the microphone as you can so we can pick you up on audio.
Okay, sure.
If you can,
Cherie Sundaram.
I'm going to have you repeat that again, your first name, and if you can spell your last name.
Sure. My name is Cherie, C-H-E-R-I, last name Sundaram, S-U-N-D-A-R-A-M.
Thank you. I'm going to have you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely, yes,
Thank you.
will do.
So you've had a chance to hear staff's report. This is your opportunity to add to it and give us clarity and color.
Yeah, sure. So I had one thing to add to this, Michael. So I had submitted an updated version of the survey where the pool is actually in line with the pool house, and it doesn't look like that's what you have up there. So you have it just a little closer to the house, and the one that we submitted to you after the fact was, can I bring this to you?
I'm not sure I got this one, but okay. Fine. Yes. All right.
Okay.
And the surveyor did that alignment.
We have it on ours. It looks like it's just not on here.
Okay.
Because the one that I'm
Maybe,
looking
yeah,
at
I
is.
must have put the wrong one in the,
Sure.
Yeah.
apologies.
And so there was a question about the trees, I think? The trees? So the tree removal is, actually, I would love to say that I have a letter for you saying that there's something wrong with the trees, but somehow or another, tree people do not want to write letters to you guys. I don't know why that's the case, but there are 3 trees. I've owned the house for like, I don't know, 8, 9 years, something like that, that are bent in over the house. And I wanted to address it before, but I really didn't have a reason to do it until now. So it would be nice before this pool is installed to have these trees that are literally like looking like they're hanging over my house. You said that you did a site visit, so do you know which ones I'm referring to? Not the ones on the corner, there's 3. And there are the ones in the corner as well, which would be nice to have removed because it's in the driveway coming into the back space. The other 2 I was told to remove because they felt that they would be problematic not too far in the future. They are not problematic now, but I figured why not deal with it while we're dealing with the trees now. We'd have some cohesiveness in terms of the side. He submitted me a list of different foliage that we could put there, bushes that would protect the pool area and make that corner look nice because it's a hot mess right now. It doesn't look attractive at all. And I have a landscape architect that does all of my landscaping since I've owned the house. And he would be working with me to make sure that that corner is befitting a Pinehurst property, and it isn't the case right now. It's really kind of a mess. So those 3 trees for sure, the ones in the corner, just to be able to get in, there's a shared driveway right there in that back corner. And like I said, these 2 closer to the front are, near the roof, but they're not leaning or anything else like that right now. But I figured, again, that I would just deal with it all at once so that we can have that whole side look cohesive and nice and landscaped properly.
Thank you for that. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
But 1 and 2 are just driveway.
That's not driveway, no. That's just on the side of the road, on the side of community. It's actually set back. If you went to the site, you would see that all those trees, and there's shrubbery in front of the trees, that's set back from the road, so it's close to my house. Honestly, with all the shrubbery there, I don't think you're even gonna notice that they're missing, but they're over the roof of my house. The 3 next to it are literally curved in, and they look like they're gonna fall, quite honestly. They look very dangerous to me. The ones in the corner, that one in the corner is just in the shared driveway, that it would just be easier for access to have that one removed. And again, it would make that whole corner, overlooking Community Drive. I'll take care of all the landscaping. I know exactly what to put there to make it look beautiful. We have the staff to be able to do that. I would like to plant by the fall to make sure everything is in there and growing and looking beautiful. It doesn't look beautiful right now.
What are your plans for the understory? You've said this afternoon that you have a landscape architect who knows what to do. But
I mean, he's done all the landscaping on the
we
yard.
don't know what it is he's going to do, so it doesn't help us make a decision about the trees that you wish to remove.
Sure. So, I mean, I've been given the list of different stuff that's approved by the Village of Pinehurst to be able to plant. I didn't choose anything directly because I haven't had a chance to consult with him directly, but my goal is not to put large trees again or any pines, but something that would grow between 15 to 18 feet tall, shrubbery that's easy to maintain, that's attractive, and it would also cover my pool so nobody could see the pool from the road. So something of that nature. So not trees, it would be shrubbery that grow between, maybe 10 to 15 feet, something that would just give me privacy there, make the street look nice, be low maintenance to maintain because I would be maintaining it. And maybe something in front of it that would have maybe some azaleas or something that would be beautiful, something that would have flowering feature to it of some nature.
Thank you.
That's not what's there now, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
If there's any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence either in support or in opposition of this application, this would be your opportunity to come forward at this time and identify yourself. Whichever you prefer. I'm going to have you, if you can speak as clearly in the microphone as you can, I'm going to have you state your first name, if you could state your first name, and spell your last name.
Karen, Karen, Wagoner, Wagoner.
Thank you. I'm going to have you raise your right hand. I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Hi, my name is Karen Wagoner, and my husband and I live at 45 Orange Road, which is directly across from 50 Orange Road. Our fronts of the houses directly face each other. We are, I'm trying to express this in a factual and not an opinion way. We are factually unhappy with the request to put in a swimming pool because given the nature of the neighborhood and its historic value, there are 5 or 6 houses right in that immediate area which have historic plaques. We don't feel that this house has, because it's a short-term rental and it accommodates large numbers of people, and is advertised as a great place for crowds of people. We don't feel that it is reviewed as a great place for groups of people, and the groups of people who have stayed there over the years, not too many, fortunately, but they have been a little on the noisy side.
Miss,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Ms. Wagner. this is a quasi judicial proceeding, so we specifically have to focus on facts.
Okay,
So what we're talking about here is short-term rental is irrelevant.
okay.
We
But
don't,
we're just saying that the nature of the,
we need
and the,
your opinion or your comments as it relates to the pool.
okay, well,
And
the
the- and
pool
the tree-
will cause
and the tree
additional
removal.
noise. And we already have one pool behind our neighbors that causes noise in the late into the evening, and we don't believe it's consistent with the nature and character of the neighborhood. There weren't many swimming pools in 1895 when those houses were built. They're close to each other, and the noise will, I guess we'll be calling the police a lot when we, to complain about the noise if there is any. So that's
Okay.
my,
Okay? Well, we thank you for that.
hope that's factual enough.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
And my husband's volunteering for the North-South Open right now, so, oh, there he is. Is he allowed to make a comment?
Sure. If I'm going to have you come up, Mr. Wagner, and just as a, maybe just a refresh, I know you're volunteering at the North-South, it sounds like, so we're interested in only facts, so not opinions, not noise, not short-term rentals. We just, the expert, well, your witness testimony as it relates to the pool installation, that's what we have in front of us, and tree removal. And then if you are, I'm assuming you're going to speak, we'd have you state your first name for the record, spell your last name, and then I'm going to swear you in. And if I can do it just as clearly as you can in the mic so we can pick you up on the audio as well.
Sure.
If-
My name is Donald Wagoner.
Okay.
I'd like,
I'm gonna have you swear you in real quick. Mr. Wagner, do you? Let me find my. Here you go. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to the application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Okay. Please go ahead.
I just want, I trust that the comments that I made, some of which I guess the implication is they're not factual, they're opinion, but there are a lot of facts in there, mostly related to the historical area, and that's what I wanted to bring up to your attention. The fact, the mission of the village is to preserve sustain the quality of life, the historical foundations, and to preserve that. And that's what I wanted to emphasize. And my opinion is that a pool is incongruous with that. I would just like that to be a matter of record, and in terms of the quality of life and that sort of thing, that's all subjective. But I wanted to mention that too in our comments. And I appreciate the opportunity to do that.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming forward. It's been months. We've had someone from the witness side come forward and do what you and your wife just did. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other witnesses, we can go ahead and close the record in this case, unless there's any other questions for staff. Okay, seeing none, the record will officially go ahead and close it. Opportunity for commissioners to deliberate, if there's any deliberation.
Yes. I'm going to read a piece of our standards, so the things I have to say about this will be better understood to relate to the standards. It is the standards that guide our decisions about congruity. Under landscaping and vegetation, the removal of trees 12 inches in diameter at breast height and larger must not be unreasonably compromise the existing tree canopy and the historic appearance of the landscape. Under swimming pools, which are permissible, they simply must not be visible from the street. In my opinion, the 12 trees constitute a good third, if not half, of the total canopy, and certainly from the public side, since they're on the street side, a large part of what the canopy is on that side of the house. The visibility of the pool, sadly, this is a corner lot, which means there's no way to hide it with the house, would be dependent upon the landscaping buffer that's along the street edge where these trees are. The removal of the 12 trees unreasonably compromises the existing tree canopy, and I would hope that the landscaping that replaces the current understory does a good job of hiding the pool. Oh, sorry, 8 trees. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So, clarity, your what's the position there at the end?
How would I vote? Is what you're asking me?
No, just, it sounds like, and I won't speak for the group, I think there's going to be some more deliberation here, but there's many pools in Pinehurst. There's pools at the hotels, there's pools all over Pinehurst.
Oh, I have no objection to pools.
Yeah,
None at all.
That's where I'm going. Really, what we're talking about is infringing upon the canopy, and if it's excessive, and if it has impacted the tree canopy. The screenings is different. You can't see into the backyard as it is. However, most of that is bushes, and it's under 12-inch caliper, so the applicant could cut it down anyway without coming for permission. So even though it's screened today, it may not be screened 6 months from now. That's got nothing to do with us. But it is screened currently. The pine trees don't screen the pool. They have a canopy, like a mushroom canopy that so to me it's less of a screening, it's more of are we infringing upon the canopy by taking down these 8 trees?
I have no argument with that. I agree with you completely. My question is more about the applicant's intent to screen the pool or not to screen the pool.
Yeah.
The standards that I'm objecting to, or not, the standards about which I'm objecting, have to do with the screen shall not be visible from the street.
The pool.
So if the understory is not a concern of ours for that reason, then I would say, not that I object to a pool at all, but it is would be most certainly visible from the street unless something is done about the understory.
Regardless of whether you cut the trees down.
Right, there are 2 issues. They're not connected.
Your concern is the screening of the pool.
Visibility of the pool from the street. If she were, for example, to do something about landscaping, if she wishes to remove the trees and add some more trees that offer some screening, it would be easier for me to understand how she's meeting the requirement that the pool not be visible from the street.
It sounds like that's what she's doing. I think.
It sounds like that too, but as Richard's pointed out, the understory future landscaping is not part of what we're here for.
Yeah.
So I was hoping she would convince me in some way that her future plans are to screen the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like she's said that, and I have no way to hold her to that because that's in the future and not our purview anyway.
Yeah, but that would be something staff would handle on the backside, on the landscaping side. Right now, off community, you cannot see the backyard.
That's right. It's the existing buffer, which is part of the historic characteristic of lots in Pinewild. She has just such one along the street edge. But my understanding is she's going to replace that with some new landscaping, which if she does what she says she's going to do, and we have no way to follow up on that, probably will screen the pool. It would be great if she had said so.
But so to clarify, there are 2, so screening the pool visibility from the street aside, which is something that you guys will handle. I think my concern was affecting the canopy because it seems like cutting down that many trees will affect the canopy. May.
That's for us to decide. Joe, Justin?
I don't have a problem with the pool. I do have a problem just the way it was presented as far as tree cutting and clearing out and so exposing the pool from the street. So I agree with David in that sense. I would have loved a more detailed landscape plan, and yes, a arborist to say these trees need to go, arborists out there that will, and we've seen before, arborists have said specific reasons for trees to go. We don't have that here.
It is possible for us to approve the pool and not the trees, correct? Because my original question was, can the pool be put in without the trees being cut down? And it seems like it can. It doesn't seem like the trees are a prerequisite for the pool. So theoretically, we could approve the pool and not the cutting of the trees. And that could just be a separate application down the road, if that's.
Or we could continue, but there's a reason trees around pools go. I mean, there are nuisance, there's roots, there's impact, you're going to hurt those trees anyway within a certain distance. I mean, if what I understand, to summarize what David said, is we don't want to see the pool from the road, okay? And then are we unduly impacting the canopy? Two things there. Right now, you cannot see the pool from the road. The pool doesn't exist, but you cannot see the backyard. However, most of that is underbrush, and it's less than 12-inch calipers, so we have no right to tell the applicant that they can't cut that down next week anyway, and not even go to the village for permission. So we really, as much as we'd love that, we really have no control over that. So really what we're dealing with is 8 pine trees, and does it infringe on the canopy? And then our trust in staff to come back to say, hey, they have gone, they have cut this underbrush, they've exposed that pool, they're not allowed to expose that pool, and they work with staff to landscape and create a barrier. So to me, the question is, do we believe that cutting down those 8 trees impacts that canopy to the point where we've really, the improvements or the alterations to the property are not congruous with the special character of the historic district? And that's the question. I think there's probably a couple that we could say no problem, but there's also probably a couple there that would say maybe it's a little too many. That's my take.
Yeah, I agree. The canopy is the biggest concern for me.
I'd be happy to float a motion whenever
Yeah, why
anybody's
not?
ready.
And if not, there's always, remember, we always have, and I've closed the record, so I don't want to reopen it, but there's always the ability to continue, allow the applicant to maybe work with scale on some of the trees to be removed, those that are absolutely necessary. It may also give the applicant an opportunity to come back with some screening, or it sounds like they have a good idea of, or have a expert alongside them, a partner, a landscaper who would help. Maybe give them an opportunity to come back with some of that, and it may be a very smooth case the next time around.
Is it permissible to ask the applicant if she'd like to do that before we make any motions?
I think we can do that without reopening the record, or do I need to? Yeah, I'll reopen it. Fellow commissioners, can I have a motion to reopen the record?
So moved.
Motion by Kara, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David Herring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Record is reopened. Welcome back. We don't have to swear you in again. That's the
Okay,
good part.
great. So, yeah, I thought I made my intentions clear that I intend to screen because I don't want anybody looking at me in the pool, and to have at least bushes between, I don't know, like 10 to 15, like verbenas, something, whatever's approved.
I think what's important to us is not an intention, but an actual plan that we have
An
something
actual
to approve.
plan. Okay, because I
Yep.
didn't make a decision about exactly what would go, but I would absolutely have the
Yeah.
pool covered. I don't want anybody looking at the pool.
The-
And the other thing is you made a point about it affecting the pools. Those 3 trees that are leaning over are like, I'm not going to put a pool unless those trees are taken out, because those trees look like they're going to fall on the house. They don't even look safe out in the area right above where that would go. Actually, it would definitely hit my house.
What would
So
go
I
a
would
long
like to
way is a
remove them,
letter
huh?
from an arborist. If you can get an
I know,
arborist
so just so you know, I've asked my landscape architect who does all the work on my yard, he wants nothing to do with this process for whatever reason. And two different tree people that really, like, we're not dealing with the village of Pinehurst. So, like, honestly, this puts me in a weird position because I've talked to several tree people that said, you gotta get rid of those trees. And, so could you at least let me get rid of the trees on the back end of the property so that I could put the pool in, and I'm not gonna affect the pool that I'm going to put in, because I can't put a pool in with those trees looking the way that they're looking in the back there.
I think you got some good guidance there. It's really, as David said, what comes out of this, the decision that comes out of this, whether it's a rendering for a house or colors or material boards, that's what you're held to. And then that gives staff the ability to go 6 months from now and go, is this the same blue? Is this the same white?
Uh-huh.
So if you had a landscaping plan, it gives staff the ability to go and say, hey, they said they were going to put in 16 Leland cypresses. They did exactly that.
Yeah.
And I think for our group, it's hard. We're not experts.
No,
We're not
I'm not either.
landscapers.
I'm not
We're
either.
lay folks. So
And so Michael did give me the list of things that I could look at. I mean, around the front of it, we have azaleas. We have azaleas that are like, 6-foot bushes all the way
Yeah.
around the front of it. And I would put like a green, whatever. I mean, I didn't look at the list. I'm not kidding you because I'm not, a landscape architect. He did provide that with me. But like a verbena, something green and plain, some sort of like just plain green bush that is high and that would cover the pool and that has minimum amount of, upkeep involved with it. That's it. We're not talking
I
anything.
really appreciate your plans.
Uh-huh.
If we could make a picture of that,
Okay.
we'd be in business.
Okay.
it's,
So I think
yeah.
what we're trying to do is provide a way for you to come
Okay.
back to us with something
So
on
let me
paper.
come back to you with a picture then. You want me to come back to you with a picture?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
maybe a little bit more. If you
Okay.
could, and I won't be here. So
Okay. So what's this
Dave,
little more?
Dave, I'll
Yeah,
just
I think
help her out.
Sure.
Yeah, help me out.
Sure. There are two ways. We can take a vote. You'll have to suffer the risk of the vote.
Uh-huh.
Or we can do what we call a continuance.
Yeah, continuance would be better.
Means you could come back to us next month
Sure.
without paying another fee
Okay.
with the data that you
I'll do that.
obviously know about because you're describing it beautifully.
Right.
Just have someone put it on paper
Okay,
for you.
I can do that for you. That's not a problem. So we'll continue and I'll come back with a picture for you.
That sounds
I like
great.
that idea.
Yep.
Okay. Yes?
Thank you.
Do we have to make a motion or something?
Well, let me close the record.
Okay.
I'll ask any deliberation, but it sounds like we're there. Record is officially closed. Deliberation 2.0.
Nothing further.
Okay. So you guys got it next month.
Thanks, Richard.
Wow.
So I'll do for the I'll make a motion. But what is the date of the next meeting?
24th of July.
24th of July, 4 p.m. I gotta get it. Okay.
Richard's not putting that on his calendar.
I'm not looking at the calendar. Would someone like to make that motion? You'll have to specifically say the date, the time of the meeting next month, and that we continue, and then I'll poll everyone.
What's the date?
At July 24th at 4 p.m.
I make a
20
motion to continue this application until July 24th at 4 p.m.
2025.
2025.
Motion made by David Herring.
Second.
Second by Joe. Justin, I'll poll everyone.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The application is continued. Thank you. Okay, moving on to case number 3 when you're ready, Maria.
All right. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for an addition in the rear yard at 160 Cherokee Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-24565. The property owner is Jean Ray Hinton, and the applicant is James Sucky. So the applicant is proposing to increase the size of the breakfast room on the rear of the dwelling. The roofing will match the existing metal roof on the house. Paint colors will be on the approved color palette. They will also be adding shed-type roofs with decorative support brackets on both sides of the new breakfast room. It is new construction or additions not considered to be minor work, and changes to roof lines, which requires review from this board. The hearing was noticed in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina general statutes. The subject property is in the hashed out area, and the property is outlined in red where the property is notified. So here you have a little site plan, and you can see right here on the back patio, the existing breakfast room, and they will be adding on to that. The elevation of the rear, you can also see the shed roofs added onto the sides. And here's a picture of the existing, along with drawing of the proposed and the colors that will be used. All from the color palette. The applicant submitted an application and provided documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission needs to determine if the change to the breakfast room is congruous with the historic district and if it meets the historic district standards. And I would like to enter into the record the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Thank you, Maria. Without objection, materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Show you how well I know David Herring here. I'm gonna steal his thunder and tell you that he was salivating over those hand-drawn drawings.
I'm
over there.
just sitting here, like, these are just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I was going to gush, but you
Beautiful.
guys stole it away.
Yeah.
I called
well-
it first. I knew it would come up. Any questions for staff? Okay. We believe the applicant or the applicant's, well, the applicant is here. Mr. Secchi, I'm going to have you state your first name, spell your last name, and then I'll swear you in.
Jim Secchi, S-E-C-K-Y.
Thank you. Have you raised your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Have a seat. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
So you've heard Maria's presentation. What would you like to add?
Well, just in general, when I attempt to do things here in Pinehurst, I'd like to make it look like it was there forever. You know, that's, other than functionally, I try to work things out where there's sort of a little bit more interesting. And if you've seen that house, you can see, well, if you look at the back side of the house, you can see how blank it is. And Jean Ray Hinton basically asked me to settle it down, make it look like it was always there, and give her sort of a better vista out of her kitchen. Basically, if you've seen the property, it's probably going to work out pretty good.
Maria, thank you. Maria, do you have the ability to pull back the hand-drawn rendering
Yes,
of the
please.
side view? There we go. David?
I do have one nitpicky question. On your perspective, just under the metal roof on the side of the addition,
Yes.
is that a stile and rail panel, or are there clear stories that,
Those will be panels.
and that's?
Well,
the-
actually, you know something, when I think about
the
that,
clear s- if you
pull
look-
up, pull up the other, pull up the side.
There you go.
There's another drawing missing, the side view.
Oh, yeah, there should be like a little
it's up in the
inset.
Yeah,
corner.
there was a side view.
It's up in the corner of the applicant's sheet number 1.
Yeah, it does show up on ours.
Top right corner of sheet number 1. While she's looking for that, it looks to me in that side view that you're referencing that there's a clear story in there, and above that, there's a little bit of siding, and in the perspective, it looks like a
Yeah,
stile
no,
and rail thing.
ultimately, I'm going to put siding there.
Okay, so the side view is correct.
Yes.
So not that one.
That, I have the physical drawing here if you want.
Not the one that Maria is showing right now, where it's got the vertical. Right, because the one that we're looking at, David, has the horizontal siding. Yep. Yeah, so right there, Maria.
There you are, yes.
Yeah.
As it turned out, the original concept sketch, I was hoping to actually make that glass and decided against it. So I've opted for siding. Yes, since I did the concept sketch, I did a little bit more work on the windows and the size of the panes and that sort of stuff, and there wasn't enough room to do what I had originally planned.
Understood.
So that is the way it's going to look.
So when we make a motion, we make that clear.
Yeah, so what we're deciding tonight is what's in front of us here.
We have two things in front of us, technically. That's what David's
No
saying.
problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We just have to point out which one's the intent.
Which one is the intent?
The
That
side
one,
view.
the siding.
Okay.
Not the one, if you scroll up, there's one that has horizontal, you can see where the lights were.
Got it. Okay.
Awesome.
And it's on Exhibit A-2.4.
Yeah, like that one has,
If I was actually paying attention, I would have changed the perspective to have siding on it, so good catch, David.
eagle eyes.
I'm not complaining about your drawings.
Maria, would you go the one just above that, if you would go up a little bit? I think it's 2.1 more. There you go. So A2.1, you sort of got that awning that carries along.
Yes.
So it's the sort of the breakfast nook addition, but you're also adding those horizontal awnings
Right, to
that
break,
span.
to break up the massive backside of that house.
Okay, so that's on both sides.
Yes.
Okay.
What's ultimately gonna happen is we'll just call it a shed roof for a lack of a better term. That's gonna tie in with the plane of the roof on the addition. All right, so it's sort of gonna wrap itself around, that line is gonna be continuous. And then I'm picking up the same elevation over where the orange arrow is. I'm picking up the same elevation and carrying it to the end of the house.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
Where can we buy this artwork?
Doodle King. Thank you very
Um, let's see. If there's anyone, I was going to dismiss you, Mr. Seki, but why don't you go have a seat if you're good? I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seki, as always.
Is there any member from the public who wishes to present any evidence either in support or in opposition of this application? This would be an opportunity to come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the record in the case. Fellow commissioners, any deliberation? Seeing none, is there anyone willing to make a motion?
Yeah, I motion. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness for 00065 and find the proposed major work on 160 Cherokee Road consistent with historic district standards and deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given and the materials submitted and the findings of fact.
Offer a small addendum. That you stipulate in your motion that the side elevation on the applicant's exhibit A-2.4 with regard to the material above the glass is siding.
Second.
Second by Kara Mathis. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Congratulations, you have your COA. Okay, we got 00070 when you're ready, Maria.
All right, the purpose of our next public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for modifications to the facade at 35 Short Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-21315. The property owner and applicant is Timothy Wright. The applicant is proposing to paint the brick facade and trim in Benjamin Moore Edgecombe Gray or Sherwin-Williams Grecian Ivory, and the shutters in Sherwin-Williams Evergreen Fog. The existing asphalt shingle roof will be replaced with CertainTeed Heather Blend asphalt shingles. And it is minor work items not approved by the village planner, which makes it major work requiring your review. The public hearing was noticed in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina general statutes. The hashed out property is our subject property, with the notified properties outlined in red. So here we have pictures of the existing house. And these would be the materials and colors used, the asphalt shingles for the roofing, the brick and trim color would be either the Benjamin Moore or the Sherwin-Williams. And then for the shutters, he picked the Sherwin-Williams Evergreen Fog. I did find the Benjamin Moore Storm Cloud Gray from our color palette, which is pretty similar. So the Sherwin-Williams would be an approved color. The applicant submitted an application and additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The roof replacement does meet the standards and could be approved as minor work by staff. You will need to determine if the painting of the brick facade, the trim, and the shutters is congruous with the historic district and if it meets the historic district standards. And I would like to enter into the record staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Thank you, Maria. Without objection, the materials referred to us by staff are hereby admitted into the record. Any questions for staff?
Not a question, just one little amendment that thank you for paying attention to the standard colors. However, Benjamin Moore Edgecombe Gray is not in the standards. The Sherwin-Williams Grecian Ivory is, I would say, close. If the applicant's okay with that, then maybe we could take out the one that's not a standard.
You can ask the applicant.
Or we can condition it, either way. So
But that was what you were showing, right? That they were the same thing,
that's
or close enough.
Yes,
similar.
they're about the same.
And I
yes.
don't think they show super well on this, because they show differently on my computer, but
I think they're alternates.
Yeah.
Either or. But we can ask the applicant if they're looking to get both approved and give them the option, or we can discuss that. Okay, if there's no other questions for staff, is the applicant here? Come on up. I'm gonna have you talk as clearly into the microphone as you can, and if you are both gonna be talking, if you could say your first name, spell your last name, and then I'll swear you both in at the same time.
Hi, Tim Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T.
Thank you. Thank you. If you'd raise your right hands, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. So you've heard staff's presentation. This is your opportunity to add any more detail, anything that was left out, anything you'd like to share with us. The floor is yours.
Now, my computer skills aren't well developed, so Maria, I may need your assistance. Thank you for allowing me to present this. And also, I appreciate you going to Short Road to look at the house. I've spent a great deal of time thinking about how this house can be improved. And if I can get to the first slide. You may have to drive. My wife and I purchased a couple lots several years ago and wanted to build a house that respected the village and would meet our own standards of authenticity. This house is the house we're finishing up at 50 Everett Road. It's on the corner of Everett and Palmetto. I show this just because of, to express my appreciation for the use of authentic materials in building a house in a historic village. I think that's very important. And the work I'd like to do at 35 Short Road, I'd like to be able to complement it, make it congruent with the standards in the village, and if I can, exceed those standards. Next slide, please. These are the proposed colors. I won't go through that. I'm somewhat indifferent to the whether it's the shade is off slightly or not. I would like to get approval for both, simply so I can put them in sunlight, put them up against the wall on a painted surface to get a better view of that. But I'll leave that up to the committee to decide how they would like to proceed. Next slide, please. I didn't realize painting a house was a major thing, so I appreciate the staff helping me through the process of submitting all this stuff. This brick is, you're probably all familiar with the type of brick that's on this house. It's a flash superfine scratch brick. I'd say the structure of it's been compromised. If you walked around the house, I'll show you some slides of the mortar joints that have been deteriorating. They've been repaired to somewhat inadequately. If you get up on the roof and you look at the back side of the fireplace, they tried to repointing that. It doesn't really match the existing brick and the existing mortar. This process here, this pastel coat, is a product by Boral. I think this would be a good application for this simply because it would improve the structural integrity of the brick, its durability, and allow it to breathe better. I also think it would improve dramatically the appearance of the house. Next slide, please. These are some of the photos of the brick as it exists today. When I first looked at it, I thought it was, frankly hideous. But everybody has their own opinion on these things. Next, please. There are some other characteristics of the house. This house has gone through several renovations since 1957. Some of the brickwork, as you can see on the right-hand side, it's just poorly executed at the corners. This is throughout the structure itself of the fence and so, or the brick wall. I may note that the shutters here on this house are plastic. I don't view plastic as a real authentic material for the village. Maybe it is, I don't know. I don't know all the standards. But I think that and the vinyl siding, in my mind, would be incongruent. Next, please. This is just another application and the workmanship around that I think we can definitely improve. Next, please. I'm a cyclist. I like to ride my bike around the village. There's a reason my wife and I decided to buy this house with our daughter. The house at 35 Short Road will be for our daughter and grandchildren. The idea of having them in the village and down the street from us was very compelling, and so we want to do everything we can to support her. As I walked around the village or rode my bike, I realized that there were many houses, and this schematic shows about 45 houses that are painted or have some type of alteration to the brick. I just throw that out. It seems to be a de facto congruency with the village. I'll let you all decide that. Next, please. I also took photos of houses that have been restored in a way to make them more attractive for the village. These are just some quick photos for you all. Next, please. These just show what can be done, and my imagination only goes so far, but I think they've done a really nice job at these houses. Next slide. And then the next slide. I thought it was interesting, the Chevrolet dealership down the road here, not too far from 35 Short Road, was also painted brick, but the new addition picked up the architectural features of the original structure, which I think is quite old.
I did that design several years ago. We did that because you're not allowed to have franchise architecture in the village. So we sent this to General Motors, and they approved it because they were making all the dealerships do that blue rectangle. So I pulled the details from the original building, we brought it over to the other side, and that's why this picture is in there.
Thank you, Mark. Next slide, please. The other aspect of this house, these are renderings that Mark put together for myself. There's a lot of vinyl siding on this house, which I'd like to be able to remove and place it with hardy board, something what I would call more authentic material there. This rendering shows removal of that vinyl siding and taking the brick all the way up. I'd like the flexibility to be able to do that if possible, and in addition to the pastel coat. So Mark, I'll let you go through some of the more finer details. I'm no architect, for sure.
So there's three houses. One of them was on the before and after. That was my house on Everett Road. And the siding comes all the way down to the top of the window. There's another one up the street that does the same thing. And there's two more. So I think it was the same builder. It's the same brick. But what I'm proposing to do is take that siding off and continue with a brick lintel all the way across the top and make it look more authentic. Also take off all the vinyl in the dormers, use real, Tim, he loves authentic material, so real cedar shake, painted cedar with crown molding to give it more of a New England look, appropriate shutter sizes. I want to add a column on both sides of that pediment, and again, put the cedar in there, and add a little radius detail. That would be done in trim. The biggest thing that's kind of a sore thumb that I see is on the garage. I love the way that roof comes down and comes down almost 4 feet away from the ground. There's a window there that is way out of scale, and it creates a good opportunity to put landscaping there, so I'd like to take that window out and also get the porch back to its original, what we can tell from some pictures that we have. Take those windows out and make that a true open porch.
It was an open porch in the original building of the house. Now it's like a winter room or something like that.
In fact, we found, when did you find them, yesterday?
I found a lot of historical photos of this house, which has really been helpful.
So there was no pediment on the house at all. It was just a straight roof all the way across. So that was added, we don't know when. The roof that connects to the garage to the main house, we found pictures, and it was, it's aluminum, we think, underneath there, and it just had some awful looking corrugated clear plastic across the top. And so we're kind of anxious to get into that and see what structure really is. But our intent is to tear down the wall, put a thicker, I used to rebuild poorly built wall and add depth. It's only one brick wide now, which is really chintzy looking. So to beef that up a little bit and get the scale right for this house.
I think that's it. Our end.
And
wait.
and a proposed picket fence. And also we want to put a brick walkway. I'm going to reshape the driveway and add a decorative walkway to the front door. I didn't really want to put a circular driveway in front of the front door, because then you're looking at a car and not the house. That's one of my things. So that's just a little cherry on top of what we're trying to accomplish.
Jerry.
In a bowl of cherries.
Thank you. Thank you for the detailed, really just the detailed presentation. I think also one of our biggest challenges here is when an application doesn't claim congruency, but pushes for it. But when you, I think what was most helpful for me was to see that aerial, and I think the fellow commissioners to see what some of the other surrounding properties and the materials on them and how they've changed as well. So thank you for that. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes. I'm not sure this is for the applicant. The first one might be for Maria. Did I miss the elevation that you just showed? I didn't have that in the packet.
No, this is all new material.
So I'm at a little bit of a loss what it is you're applying for, because some of this, first time we've seen it is right now. It takes us some time to consider and deliberate in our own brains about what's congruous and what isn't. And for me, this is not long enough to see something as complex as this with as many iterations and variations that you want also approved with no time to consider it. So for me, I would suggest that you consider a continuation to put together a packet that represents specifically what you want to do, complete.
So you have.
Let me elaborate just a little bit more. Listening to you talk about the house sounds fantastic. I think it's going to be a really positive, most of it, a positive move for this house and for the Village of Pinehurst. So I think your intents are right, but as in a previous application, the intent isn't something we can hang our hat on.
Any other questions for the applicant? So the current application in front of us is painting the house, painting the shutters, and painting the brick,
And changing the asphalt shingles,
and changing the asphalt.
the roof, right?
Correct.
3 items.
The roof. So really, that's the 3 that's in front of us that I think we will have sufficient information on today for today's meeting. There's been probably in the intent of transparency to show everything you're planning on doing in the house. There's some other things that you have planned that you've talked about here, and those are scaling the shutters the right size, replacing vinyl with a more appropriate upgraded material, which we're all about over here. That'd be the cedar shake. The front entrance, you're creating a little radius underneath that little gable there to add detail. You're doing some work on the back patio. You're replacing a window in the garage that doesn't really fit there, and you're bricking it in. You'll be painting that, and then doing some landscape and hardscape improvements.
And adding columns to the front porch.
And additional columns to the front porch.
I guess my question would be, if we were to go forward with the 3, with the roof, the painting, they would have to apply for an additional COA for the columns, for the changed window, et cetera, correct? I guess that was I appreciate the clarification, David, because I was sitting here, I kept thinking, it sounds amazing, but I only see that I'm looking to approve 2 things. So I just trying to make sure that we collectively up here and in the room understand what is being asked currently on this COA.
Yeah, they made an application for a few things that's in front of us, and it sounds like they've asked for a couple of other things. We can make a decision on the front 3. We can make a decision on all of it. If some of us don't feel comfortable, some of us don't feel comfortable, we can also take the opportunity now to work through it and ask the applicant questions and see if we can get comfortable.
I think you have those 2 choices. So you can continue it, and they can submit everything, let you all have more time to review it, or we can enter this in as an exhibit. You can look at the elevations. He's got in there everything he wants to do. If you want to take a minute and look at it, and if you all feel comfortable approving that, that would be fine.
Is there a way to table it for the end of the meeting so everybody else doesn't have to sit through it? Can we take a recess and then, or not a recess, but do the other cases and then come back to this one if we decide to do the latter?
Done that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me offer, the advantage of the continuance is you won't have to come back, and you won't have to pay a fee. I mean, you will have to come back, but you won't have to pay a fee to do that if you continue it.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
But they could then stay too, and we could just work through this application in front of us.
Want to take a few minutes
Yeah.
at the end and look over it in a little more detail, and then you feel comfortable.
And the risk is not all of us will become comfortable. So you'll take your chances when we vote. We'll be voting up or down based on the incompleteness of it for some of us.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But we could also vote on what's in front of us as submitted.
Yeah.
Yes. we
The
could do that
roof,
too.
the paint, the shutters. But what we're trying to do is find a solution that would prevent you from having to come back and handle everything in one meeting at one time.
My only thing about that solution is it seems like they'd have to, because it looks like a lot of the siding is being replaced by brick, which I assume then would be painted. So they would be painting, and then they would have to come back and take the vinyl off and then paint that again. I'm just hyper efficient, so I would rather be able to take everything off and paint it once.
And similarly, it'll give you time to reconsider this large variety of things that it sounds to me like you're may not be have had a chance for yourself to become comfortable with exactly what it is you want to do.
Well, it seems like they do, because what Maria showed us seems pretty comprehensive. We just don't have it, or we didn't have it before. That's
Except that the only thing, even if we were to get SD1, the 2 elevations, there are 2 more elevations we've never seen.
Yeah, we can take time. I mean, I'll speak for myself. none of this is complicated. This is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. For me, I have no issues. If there's some clarifying questions and we can have someone take a laser pointer and point exactly where that window is that's being removed from the garage. I live on this road. I drive past this road twice a day. I know this house inside out. I've even toured inside this house. So I know this property. For me, I can see it. I'm perfectly comfortable, and I fully understand what needs to be done. My recommendation would be to avoid all of us having to hear this again a month from now and the applicants come back. If the commissioners would take the time to work through this, spend the time, ask the questions. If you cannot get comfortable, you cannot get comfortable. But at least we gave it an honest shot tonight and try and preserve some folks' time. For me personally, there's so many improvements on here. This house is definitely coming in line with what we'd like to see.
I feel the same. I just don't want everybody else to have to sit here while we work through it, so I would rather do this at the end.
I'm fine with that too. If the applicants are fine with that. I don't know the formal procedure for a delay. I guess we would just.
Are you guys, or we can ask them if they're okay with it, right? This is
I'm
still
good with
open.
that.
I don't know if you want to take a poll and see how many of you might be comfortable to make it worth them staying, or if they just want to continue it.
I'm comfortable.
Well, it wouldn't be a continued, and I wouldn't close the record. We'd just leave it open and move on to the next case. Is that correct, procedurally?
Yes.
Okay. Fellow commissioners, why don't we start with you, Joe? Are you?
I'm fine with the continuance.
Oh, we wouldn't be. We'll push it to the end of the
Push it
meeting.
to the end, yes.
Okay, so we'll leave it open and we'll try and work through it at the end of the meeting.
I'm fine with that, working at the end.
Aye, I'm
Yep.
good.
I guess I'm the oddball.
That's okay.
Since I haven't even seen half the elevations of the house, the other two sides, I think the two sides that you have shown on SD1 are hopeful. I would not feel right about the two invisible sides. Secondly, I will have, when we haven't discussed this at all, is the painting of the brick. I understand there are a lot of painted brick houses in the district. Nonetheless, we have a very clear rule about painting brick is not permitted, and I would vote in that way. So for me, push it to the end and then vote would still get, at least the paint would be negative for me, and I probably would not feel comfortable going forward, not ever having seen the other two sides. So I only have one vote.
Yeah.
Do you have the rear elevation you can email to staff and the ability to pull it up?
No, because it's the same principle.
Yeah.
Can you sketch it
Yeah.
up really fast?
Huh?
Can you sketch it up?
Actually,
It's not visible from the roads, I know that. Just a point of clarification, painted brick is not a rule, it's a standard.
Yes, it
There's
is
a
a
difference.
standard.
Yeah, I just,
new standard.
No, it's not a new
I
standard.
was on the committee in 2007 for 7 years. Wasn't there?
Standard does say if painted brick is allowed, it
Yeah.
has to be in the color palette. So I think there is that opportunity to allow it.
the five of us exist to interpret the rules.
Yeah, I only have
Beg
one
your pardon,
vote.
standards. So, okay,
I appreciate all the dialogue around this and happy to sit through it. When I first filed this, I didn't think there was anything major really, having restored or built maybe 16 houses over the last 40 years. But I do appreciate wanting to maintain a standard. So I appreciate the committee's view on that.
And you've done it flawlessly on the Everett house.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
yeah.
Yeah, I like where you're headed. I'm just not quite there for the vote.
But we got to get there.
All right.
So we're gonna keep this open.
Yep. Do we have to
and-
make a motion?
What
to
does
keep-
the applicant want to do?
Yeah,
Let's
they
ask
said
them.
that was fine.
We're fine with that. I'm fine with it.
Okay,
So move it to the end?
Mm-hmm. Do
let's do that.
we have to make a motion to move it to the end, or we just?
No.
Okay.
We're leaving it open, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Maria. I have 00072 next, 15 Master Branch.
Yes.
Okay, take it away.
All right. Our next public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for the construction of a detached garage at 15 Muster Branch Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-17750. The property owners are David and Janet Bell, and the applicant is Huntley Design Build. The applicant's proposing to construct a detached garage in the side yard. The materials such as the brick roofing, siding, windows, and colors will match those on the existing primary dwelling. It is new construction or additions not considered to be minor work, which requires review from this board. The hearing was noticed in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina general statutes. Our subject property is hashed out, and the properties outlined in red were the properties notified. So we have a site plan where you can see the proposed garage on the side. And here's a picture of the existing dwelling. Elevations. And materials, the shutters, the garage doors, brick to be used. The applicant submitted an application and documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission needs to determine if the new garage is congruous with the historic district and if it meets the standards. And I would like to enter into the record this presentation, staff's reports, with the attachments and the exhibits, and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Thank you, Maria. Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are hereby admitted into the record. Any questions for staff?
Good.
Thank you. Seeing none, is the applicant here? Why don't you come on up? You could state your first name, spell your last, speak as clearly into the microphone, and then I'll swear you in.
My name is David Bell, B-E-L-L.
Thank you. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. You heard Maria's presentation. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, and happy to answer any questions you have. I guess I would just make a comment about the positioning of the garage on the property itself. You know, the intent is to make it as inconspicuous as possible. It's on the side of the house, not in front of the house. It does face the front, but the road that the front of the house faces, as you're probably aware, is a private road. It's not a public road. A lot of consideration was given to placement of the garage on the property, and other potential locations were considered. However, those locations would require either the removal of a number of very large oak trees, if that were on the east side of the house, or other places on the west side of the house would require a driveway that would also require a number of trees to be taken down, which we didn't want to do because we didn't want to interrupt the appearance of the home. I noticed in the application that it says includes removal of trees. Yes. And I think that was probably done for an abundance of caution. There is one single pine tree that is in excess of 12 inches in diameter at chest height. And that would be the one, if you look at the position of the garage. Behind the garage, there's one tree that's about 5 feet from the back of the garage. And we don't know where the taproot is, whether when we build the foundation, whether that tree might be interrupted. But our hope is, kind of amazingly, to remove 0 trees. But it might involve that one pine tree. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
I have one comment. I applaud your shutter.
Oh, thank you.
An actual functioning, properly sized shutter with all the right hardware. Thanks for that.
Great, thank you.
No other questions for the applicant?
None.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence, either in support or opposition to this application? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the record in the case. Any deliberation needed?
Good for me.
Someone like to make a motion?
I will.
Okay.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA 2025-00072, and find the proposed major work at 15 Muster Branch Road is consistent with historic district standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Joe Iverson. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Congratulations, you have your COA. Thank you. When you're ready, Maria. Should I offer anyone need a break? A 5-minute break?
Calvin's like, please no.
I'm good. Is everyone good?
Okay.
Good? Everyone good? Okay, let's keep rolling on.
I pushed through. All right. This public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for changes to an accessory building at 785 Morganton Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-25799. The property owner and applicant is Pinehurst LLC. The applicant is proposing to replace roof shingles, install trim on the fascia, alter existing columns by adding wood columns on a precast capstone, and paint the brick facade. The proposed paint colors would be Sherwin-Williams cotton and Sherwin-Williams hammered silver. It is minor work items not approved by the village planner, which requires review by this board. The meeting was noticed in accordance with North Carolina General Statutes and the PDO. The hashed out area is the subject parcel. I think the actual building is right around here. And the properties outlined in red were the notified properties. Here we have elevations. The colors, so they had picked Sherwin-Williams colors, and I tried to find some colors from the approved color palette that were similar. I think we matched up pretty good. And we have pictures of the building as it is existing, and then the proposed. So the applicant submitted an application and documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. You will need to determine if the changes to the accessory building are congruous with the historic district and meet the standards. And I'd like to enter into the record the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Thank you, Maria. Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none. I know the applicant is here. Why don't you come on up, Calvin? I'll save you the drill, but you know the process.
Calvin Berkeley, B-U-R-K-L-E-Y.
Thank you. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Why don't you have a seat? Anything you would like to add to Maria's presentation?
A little. I mean, so it's a halfway house for course number 2, and you know, our owner wanted us to kind of spruce it up a little bit from what it currently looks like. So, with the aid of our talented architectural firm, we came up with a plan of doing the trim and replacing the shingles, and yes, painting the brick. So yeah, that's the intent is really to freshen up that halfway house, since that's also a starting point for that course.
How old is that building?
70s, yeah.
70s.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it.
I would just like to make the comment that it's very hard to see this rendering properly because that golf cart is not Pinehurst green. That would never be approved.
I just say, the building as it is right now, of course, I'm sure it needs to be upgraded, but it's more inconspicuous with the brick color. But now it's gonna stand out more. How do you feel about that? I mean, that it stands out more now? Is it more blended in with the trees and the pines?
So it's and that's a fair point, but it is it's not something we want to completely hide either, because again, it's a starting point for people to find it, and then for the halfway house. So, and it's similar color palette to the one that we did on number 4 as well, similar to it.
Really, those 70s columns, you really don't pick that up anywhere on any of the other properties. I think the updated column at least is coming in line with some other functions.
Forgive me for not remembering, the halfway house on 4 is brick or is not brick?
It is not brick.
It is, thank you.
Yeah.
For the sake of the people in the audience, the standards for painted brick are different for commercial buildings than existing houses, in case someone is wondering.
Any questions for the applicant?
Not a one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there is any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence, either in support or in opposition to this application, this is your opportunity to come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the record in the case. Any deliberation needed?
Yeah, I like the new columns. I think that's a nice little touch, and I think it's going to look good.
I can make a motion.
Go for it, Kara.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA 2025-006-0066, and find the proposed major work at 785 Morganton Road is consistent with historic district standards and deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact.
Thank you. Motion made by Kara Mathis. Is there a second?
Question. You said congruous, right?
Hmm?
Okay.
Just didn't think
Second.
congruous. There's a second? Second from David Herring.
Approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Congratulations, you have your COA. Why don't you stick around? Okay, yeah.
All right, ready?
I mean, no water break. Everyone's good. Let's keep going.
All right. This public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for modifications to approved COA 2024-00142 at 1 Carolina Vista. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000250800. The property owner and applicant is Pinehurst LLC. The applicant is proposing to add a door and a staircase to the northern side of the building, as well as replacing windows on the northern and western sides. That is adding or eliminating windows in or doors, which makes it major work requiring your review. The subject property is in the hashed out area. The notified properties are outlined in red, and the meeting was noticed in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina General Statutes. All right, so our first picture here is of the existing building. This picture is from what was approved in 2024. And this picture is what they are asking to do now. So they would not be adding this entrance, and they would be adding a door and a staircase here. The applicant has submitted an application and provided documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission needs to determine if the changes are congruous with the historic district and if they meet the standards. And I would like to enter into the record this presentation, staff's attachments and exhibits with the staff report and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Thank you, Maria. Without objection, materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Any questions for staff? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I understood what you said, Maria, about existing, previously approved, currently up for approval. But the drawings don't say that, and I'm afraid it could get confusing in the future if somebody looks back. The Exhibit A-2.5 says on it proposed. Might be
And I think
previously
Calvin
approved.
was worried about that because he called me today to make sure that was clear, so.
Okay, so if we could get
You
that.
all
yeah.
understand what they're doing?
Yes, yeah, I
Okay.
understand. I'm
Proposed
just-
in 2024. Yeah.
So if that could get marked up, that would be good. Then the others that are up for approval have nothing on them. So maybe you could add a label that says application number, whatever it is.
Well, I just gave you the exhibits. I didn't,
As long as staff knows what.
yeah. I didn't add anything to their exhibits. I just gave you what they presented me.
Yeah. Well, why don't we'll ask the applicant for certainty. That way it'll be on record. Staff will know what they do. That's what we'll make the decision on.
Good.
Welcome back up. I don't have to re-swear him in, right, Maria? He's on record?
No, he's sworn in.
Okay. Why don't you take a seat then? But there is a new gentleman I'm going to swear in.
New gentleman here as well.
Here we go. If you can state your first name, spell your last name, and then I'm going to swear you in.
Don Tice, T-I-S-E.
Thank you. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you. Have a seat, gentlemen. You heard staff's presentation. Anything you'd like to add usually helps us.
Yes, so the, if you scroll down a little bit, there is, at a certain point, it says new Wiregrass floor plan. At that point, that was the intent of this is what we're asking for from this point forward. So we really wanted to put into context what was previously approved and what we are asking for at this point, because as we've developed this, this plan, we had a few changes that happened.
I'll just jump in real quick and summarize. Before, we were going to create a new entrance from what's perceived as the front, the west side, and you guys reviewed and approved that, which we appreciate. But working with the owner, we decided to enter the restaurant through the internal corridor, which is the bottom center of that image you're looking at there. And that becomes the main entrance into the restaurant and where the hostess will be. And then at the top left, which is the north edge, to meet code, we have to have a means of egress. Before, the new entrance that you had approved was our second means of egress. So when we got rid of that, we needed a second means. The first means is into the corridor and through the Pinehurst No. 2 building. The second means is that northwest corner there, which is what that will be used for. And so that's the reason we're coming back, is we're basically taking off all the additions and taking the building back to what it was. And at the same time, we're restoring the windows back to what they were more originally. Tufts Archives has a series of books. One of them is called Pinehurst No. 2, A Journey Through the History of Golf. And in there, they have some wonderful archival photos. One of them included, I have it on my phone, but I noticed it wasn't in the application, if you want me to pass my phone around, was a photograph of the original windows from an interior shot. And what, if you want to scroll back up to the top, I think, they keep going to the very, yeah, that's right, down one, you were correct, that first render. That shows an existing condition. And if you look at that existing condition, you can see there are double hung windows with transoms above. That is not the original configuration. When this building was built, there were not double hungs. They were what we now call direct sets, or one larger window in the lower area with the transoms above. And they had a different pattern. Right now, these are old 40-year-old vinyl windows that have different window patterns for the transoms than they do for the double hungs. It was pretty poorly done. So we're taking those out and taking it back to what it originally looks like based on the photographs that we found. And then adding the egress porch on the northwest corner. If you want to scroll through, I'll see if it jumps anything up here. Yeah, it's old. And there's what we're proposing. And here's what we're proposing. You can see, and go down one more and you'll see some of the bushes will disappear. There you go. We did the bushes disappearing just to show you what the physical artifact was. Also, the way this landscaping is rendered doesn't accurately reflect the type of growth that's going to go in there. If we put the hollies in there that are going to grow up to 10 feet, then you wouldn't be able to see anything, and that would be kind of ridiculous for you to show you a big stand of bushes. But on the far left edge there, those are actually going to be hollies in front of the utility courts fence and around the side. And then there'll be some smaller azaleas right there at the corner. And then the hollies will pick back up again to cover some electrical equipment transformers that are existing. Will be tying into an existing hedge. And then they'll drop back down, and then further down this photo, there's going to be some, believe it or not, they're called easy peasy roses, and some azaleas and some smaller plantings. But the whole thing's going to be planted, make a proper front. My goal working with Calvin over the years has to turn the front of Pinehurst number 2 so that it looks and feels like a front and not a back, because over the years, prior to Calvin getting there, people have been setting pieces of mechanical equipment and all types of stuff out in what I consider the front where you enter if you're a non-member. And we've taken all that off the ground as per our original approved proposal from you guys and putting it up on the roofs behind. And so now that leaves us this whole front area to landscape, which I think will be a lot nicer. And then scroll down a little bit more if you don't mind.
And we do have a landscape plan that we got this morning that I can distribute out. Be happy to.
But
It's not in front of us today, so we're.
Yeah, this is more the front end. You can see that ramp that's there kind of on the right side of the image. That's the existing ramp. The brick wall that's at the edge of the ramp is new, but that was part of the approval from the previous plan as well. And then scroll down one more image, and there you go. That just gives you a different view. This shows the new window configuration with the mullion pattern configuration. It'll be true divided light. It's going to have a putty. It's called a putty profile on the window mullions, which would be a more appropriate for a building of this vintage.
Did you say true divided light?
What's that?
I think they're
Simulated
yeah,
true
they're-
divided lights.
Yeah, they're
So-
STLs.
Simulated, okay.
Yeah, they're STLs.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's it. And the color render is appropriate. They're the color to match the other windows on the Pinehurst number 2 structure.
Are you keeping the sign on the brick? The Wiregrass and Rye text?
There is not on that brick, no.
Any questions for the applicant?
Well done.
Appreciate the detail.
As
Thank you.
always.
Thank you. Thanks for the detail as always. Thank you. Is there any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence, either in support or in opposition to this application? Seeing none, we can go ahead and close the record in this case, and you're all welcome to sit there if you're comfortable, or you can go back. Any deliberation needed? Any questions?
Nothing for me.
Someone ready to make a motion?
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness and find the proposed major work at 1 Carolina Vista is consistent with the Historic District standards and it's deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based upon the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact.
Second.
Motion made by David Herring, second by Karen Mathis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Congratulations, you have your second COA.
Thank you. I want to say one thing off your quasi-legal standards here. I'm on the board of the Historic District Commission in Chapel Hill, which is your HPC. You would call it an HTC. And you may have taken some pictures of you guys back there. The way you guys and your staff organize this is fantastic. We just had a retreat, and I wished I'd have come here before the retreat because some of the things you do is very well run. Really appreciate it. And one thing I appreciate is that you vote on whether it's congruous. We are required by our lawyers to say it's not incongruous, which is the weirdest thing ever. So I've made notes throughout the proceedings, and I'm taking them back to Chapel Hill, just to let you know. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's
Yeah, that's all staff.
compliments to the fellow colleagues and staff, that they do a wonderful job. Thank you. Okay, does anyone need a water break, coffee break, or are we good to proceed?
Proceed.
Send it.
Okay. Mr. Wright, Mr. Parson, why don't you come back up?
Planning on wearing a coat
Yeah.
and tie today, but then I realized I was being sworn in. I thought it'd be appropriate.
It's also normally cold in here, so I thought it was a play for the weather.
The reason they say not congruous, what he just referred to, is because that's the way the state wrote it. It's kind of weird, but that's what they wrote it.
So where we left off, I think there's a couple of things in front of us that are in the actual application that was presented. I'm not going to say we're at least comfortable with the information to be able to make a decision, let me put it that way, on what was submitted. There was some new information which is presented and becomes part of the record for us, and I think that has created some confusion because usually we have about 2 weeks to review, week and a half to review this information. A lot of times walk the property with that information and really let it soak in. There's one architect on here. Most of us are lay people, so we don't always absorb it as quickly as professionals. But I think that's where we could pick off if it would be helpful, and I think we have a sincere interest to work through this with you guys. And that would be maybe just to start from the top and go nice and slow as far as what's actually in the application before us. Let's close that so we all understand what's in front of us. And then all the things that you're asking in addition to that, that you would like to form part of the COA, and maybe walk us through this really slowly, and we may be stopping you along the way. I would just ask my commissioners, and let's not do it haphazardly and stop every 60 seconds, but let's let them get through a chunk, and if we need to stop and ask 2 or 3 questions, let's do it that way, and then really just walk us through it, and maybe that's the best way to go, if no one has any objection to that.
Just, if we decide to make a motion at the end, should we be taking notes on the details that we go through, or will we just say as presented to staff later?
It's all in the record, so what we could do is, as we deliberate and as we discuss amongst ourselves, if there's things that we don't believe are congruous or appropriate, or or conditions, as you'd say, we can work through those conditions here if there are any, and then if someone's willing to make a motion, they could make it subject to those conditions. We can vote on that motion, we could approve it or disapprove it.
Could I,
This is part of the record. the
Oh,
drawing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's videotaped, it's audio, it's all on the record. Everything you say is going to be incorporated into the record.
All right, so let's,
could I make,
let's
sorry.
enter this into the record as Exhibit X.
Okay.
Could I make a sorry,
SD1, you're talking about SD1.
his entire file is what
The
I think you're referring
whole-
to, right?
The whole file.
So far, the only addition is SD1. Will there be others?
Their whole
I
presentation.
was just looking at his whole presentation.
The whole presentation, okay.
Yeah.
Want to just focus on this? Let's enter the whole presentation as Exhibit X, and then we can label this X-SD1. How's that?
Got it.
Justin, you had a question?
I was actually going to recommend that we may want to start before going down everything with what's specifically on the current COA.
Mhm.
Because there's going to be a really big stopping point that the rest of it wouldn't some large chunks of it wouldn't necessarily apply depending on that. I think you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, and maybe I didn't say that clearly. Let's maybe just reaffirm exactly what's on the application, knock those out so everyone's comfortable, and then we can do all the add-ons. Is that
Okay.
what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. So Mr. Wright or Mr. Parson, if you want to as presented, what's in front of us is we have a roof replacement, we have painting brick, the colors that are in front of us, the two alternatives, and then we have painting shutters, colors in front of us, the two alternatives. That's what made it in the application. That was
Yep.
all that was in front of us. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Well, we won't get into the merits of that just yet, but if you want to start from the top of some of the other elements that you would like to incorporate in this application, if you want to start from the top and repeat that, that'd be helpful for us.
So,
Provide your perspective, Mark. I mean,
yeah, so let's start left. So the first thing would be adding 2 columns. That's not part of the original.
Okay, and Mark, if you could, just reference the exact exhibit. So this whole package is Exhibit X, okay?
One
SD1 on Exhibit X, okay?
shows an extra column to give that length that a little bit more weight. It's a little toothpicky right now.
That's the front of the house at the
Front of the
at the
house.
entryway.
Yes.
Okay, if you guys can be, just to help us, if you can be as specific, even if it sounds like you're babying us, just help us along here.
So that's the biggest thing on the front of the house, taking off the vinyl on the dormers, and there's some very bad brake work done on the aluminum on the top of that.
Hey,
So-
Mark, sorry. Do you have a laser pointer by any chance, Maria? Or do you have the ability with your cursor? Okay. Do you have
Might
the
have to
ability with your cursor to
stand
just
closer.
hold your cursor on where they talk about columns, where they talk about dormers?
That helps.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
the
there
2
you go.
dormers at the top, if she can go over the sides, there's no detail, there's no frieze there right now. It's very primitive, if you will.
By frieze, you mean the wood trim detail at the top of the window.
Right.
Thank you.
Nothing like that. So what we're going to do is add exterior crown molding to that, which will be more in context with the village and congruent. The other thing is down above those big windows, if you could just go right down there, see those where the bricks look like they're stacked horizontal like a soldier course? That's a typical construction in older homes, new homes, that is missing in this house. Because the siding comes all the way down, and it actually looks like it's not attractive. We're trying to bring this house back to what should have been proper construction and typical construction.
I'm going to interrupt a bunch, so bear with me. So you're talking about the wood trim, which is white in this photograph, that sits on top of the windows and goes up to the underside of the eave,
Yes,
which is a 1x6 or something like that,
12 inches.
12 inches.
by 12. Okay?
So that, yeah, we're adding those lintels, and then we are going to use appropriate size shutters. Right now, the shutters are teeny compared to the size of the window, so it's one of my pet peeves that if it were to work, it would.
I want everybody on the panel up here to listen to this.
We all agree with you. Yeah, we all feel the
Well,
same
I
way.
definitely, David, I definitely agree with your comment at one of the presentations that having functional shutters is the way to go here.
Very nice.
And
No objection.
Those will go all the way around the house, and I show some louvered details. We'll go back and forth. But those are basic, good construction practices that we're just bringing to this. Go down, also the decorative attic vent. Right now, there's the 4 houses in the village. It's a chintzy, really flimsy aluminum attic vent. And again, the vinyl, I think it was just to save money. I'm sure it was, to not bring the brick all the way up. It stops there. So all the way up.
On all the gable ends?
Yes, sir.
No more vinyl anywhere on the house.
Nowhere, no, it's all going to be hardy, either hardy, cedar, or brick.
So let me be clear. The finished material on the gable ends will be brick. All of them. What about the one at the shed roof adjacent to the breezeway?
No, because we'd have to put it shows there. Yeah,
It'll
that's the
stay
dormer.
siding?
That's going to be the cedar.
Cedar.
All the dormers will be cedar and that overhang with that shed roof.
Oh, right there, that's what I'm talking about.
That's
right there.
open.
That's open.
There's a tiny little bit above that.
There's
right there.
There's three
There.
windows on the existing house right there.
Yeah, it's,
You can take those out.
we're gonna make it back to what it was, a porch.
Okay, so you're removing those three windows.
Yes, sir.
And therefore, it's open all the way to the underside of the shed. Right. Okay, thank you.
But yeah, in my note says restore porch and area and remove windows.
Okay, got it?
Maria, would you go back to the real-life photo of this as well?
That's a good idea.
Just after what's being described, I think, there you go. Okay. So David, you see those three windows there?
Fine.
Yep.
And the brick below them stays.
Stays.
Okay.
But we have to, there's a crack, that's a cold joint, they call it. They don't web together. That's another reason to.
But it's
use-
separated.
Right.
So we have to fix that.
Horizontal? That sort of dark line?
Can't see it there.
Hard to see. Okay.
Also, you'll see I put a little radius detail at the wall that we're gonna tear down,
Mm-hmm.
fatten up those columns. Those columns they're only like 8 by 8. They're all very small.
To give some relief to the wall?
That's
It gets some relief, but also that wall, you can knock it over. I mean, it's very, in fact, you could see the holes in the brick. I mean, there need more of those in.
So the windows that you're taking out, you're taking all of them out, including under the porch.
Yes,
But the brick wall
that stays.
all the way around, so it'll just be an exposed porch. Okay. That's this, David.
Yeah, I follow. The underside of the breezeway where these columns terminate, the existing, let's call it the eave of the breezeway, is higher than in your drawing. No, maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's a mess right there, and
Yeah.
we don't know what we're getting into. Like I say, the pictures I saw yesterday for the first time showed L-channel aluminum going across with some
Flat roof.
flat roof with some plexiglass on top of it.
So would it be your desire to match up the fascia out from an elevation standpoint?
I would like to, yes.
You want to make that your application?
Sure.
Yes.
Good move.
I'd also like to bring a beam in, so we
Yeah.
have something to set those columns on. Right now, it's sitting on vinyl, and I don't.
Okay, so that's also part of your application. The beam lowering the ceiling of the breezeway, if you will, or the bottom of the eave. Or maybe the beam will do both.
I mean, the beam's part of the construction process. We're going to try to stabilize that. I think we're going to get into something that's not very stable once we get into it.
Okay.
So we'll have to meet code in order to make it stable.
And if those changes are deemed to rise to the standard of major work, staff at that point will kick it back to us.
I think I'm following.
Can you go back? I know one of the questions was about the back of the house on these updated drawings, SD1, but we didn't have renderings for the rear of the house. But I think it's helpful to see the real-life photos of the back of the house.
We do have those, yeah.
There. Okay. You got two in the bottom right corner there. So on the back, that's really your biggest sort of exposed, that whole rear dormer. That's all going to be cedar. Okay. And then the brick's painted, full-size shutters. Anything?
There's more than one reason to put the German schmear or Boral product on that brick. It's because we want to brick that up. It's going to be hard to match it.
Mhm.
I mean, if this had good-looking brick, we wouldn't be touching it. But it's a wire-cut brick. It's usually up.
Like
you
a
find it
common
in
brick.
e-
Yeah.
Or postmodern houses.
Are you putting shutters up top on the dormer or just down where they are currently?
Just where they are currently.
Thank you.
Let me back up to the brick. You've just introduced a good point that will be, I think, to your benefit. Because you're adding so much brick that you think will probably not match the existing brick is a reason, if none other, than to paint the brick.
Mm,
Thank you.
You've cracked the David code.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I don't think it's going to look like painted brick. I think it's going to render more like stucco because the pictures you see have a tumbled brick.
Stop while you're ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
The,
Stucco in the village.
Mark, the picture to the left of it, Maria, where you can see the garage, right? In the middle. There's like the louvered panels or something, and then vinyl above it. So is that vinyl, will that be the cedar shake?
Yes.
Okay. And then the louvers are coming off, those things.
No, we're gonna.
So on, let me see, we're looking at the same photograph.
This thing.
Yeah, that one. So are you going to add knee walls and columns on that side of the breezeway to match the front?
No, I don't think so, because it's really nice to have that open to the backyard. We'll probably do
Okay,
some
so
kind of a landscape courtyard.
that's going to govern your beam, right? It will have a
You don't
beam.
have, have to have something, but I don't want to wall that in.
So the beam design is going to be a function of that span, not the other side.
No, I think the other side, but right now it spans it, so, and it's very flimsy, so I'm not so sure.
Well, the other side, you got two columns, so the span's less than
But
half.
but it wasn't until yesterday that I realized that they were decorative.
Okay.
After
Oh.
seeing the pictures that Tim found.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the first night I stayed in the house. Found those in the drawer, so.
It's
I
a
found
moving
these
target.
old photos in the house. I
Okay.
thought, gee, this is very helpful.
Just for giggles, you want to see a couple of them?
Sure, you're welcome to pass them around.
I mean, without the pediment.
Did you guys talk about that little vent? Hold on.
Roof vent?
No, it's the one that's under the patio. So it's next to the currently windowed in. Hold on. I mean, it looks like a window, but oh, maybe is it a stained glass window? Maybe it's got
Yes.
the little
Oh, it is a
circles?
stained
Oh,
window,
okay.
stained
Where's
glass window.
this?
This little guy on the back. You can see it. The bottom right hand picture. It's in the the left side of that bottom right hand picture. That little black thing. Yeah. So that's just staying.
It's okay,
Honestly,
it's-
yeah, honestly, I don't like it. It's very modern looking for this house.
Is it colored? Are they all different colors?
Looks like the bottom of a glass bottle.
Yeah.
Why don't you just brick it in?
That's the sink. That's where the sink is.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And knowing my wife, she would say, you should be able to look out of your sink.
Yeah.
You should have a window there.
Do we have to address that?
With everything he's talking about
Yeah.
is on the record. I think we do. And by the way, those shutters are going to get wider as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Same principles around the house.
So do you want to make a decision then that you'll just knock that window out and replace it?
I think we should replace the window. That would be my decision, to put a window in there consistent with what's around the house. I don't know how you feel about it. But I just think it's weird looking into a bunch of bottles in your kitchen. And it impedes light as well.
The request is to replace that with a window that matches the other windows on the house.
Yes.
Just a fixed, divided light, but fixed.
Yeah.
piece. Okay.
After looking at those pictures yesterday, realizing that pediment wasn't there from the original, it did answer a question of why the pediment has a bigger overhang than the rest of the house. You look at the gable ends, they're almost flush. There's very little overhang. Now it makes sense. That was an addition and they wanted to add it. I would like to pull that back so it matches the other gables.
Which gable are you looking at?
Looking at the pediment on the very front.
Okay.
He's got it now. If you go up to the top picture on the left, and right in the center of the house, that's the gable, the pediment we're looking at.
And you're putting an arch soffit there as well, right?
No, it's just a detail, just a trim piece, just a.
Oh,
It's there already, you're just shaping it.
No,
I thought that was actually a curved soffit.
No, because it's a flat door, so
Oh.
I'm just doing something that,
So you're not cutting out, you're
No.
just adding that. And then it's the shake.
yeah,
Okay.
add the shakes, and then pull the overhang back so it matches the rest of the house.
Got it.
Okay. Can I see that again, David? Oh, yeah.
So if you do that, the columns, the siding in the pediment will move toward the camera. And otherwise, your columns are going to move toward the house.
Yeah, in the bottom one, those will be closer to the house.
I'm talking about the,
No, they're still above they don't rest on the overhang.
okay, maybe I don't understand. I'm looking at the front door, and above the front door, there's a pediment. And that pediment is set back from the fascia board. You want to make it roughly flush with the fascia board. So is it moving toward the viewer or toward the house?
Look at the side elevation. It's just the overhang that goes out. The columns stays where it is.
So you're just moving that closer.
Not the
Well,
support.
the actual roof line
Yeah, the roof line.
is a big overhang, which seems out of proportion to the overhang on the gable ends of the house. So it's like cutting that off. The
Oh, okay.
actual
Shortening it.
shortening it. There we go.
Decreasing the size of the roof over the front porch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I follow.
Do you want to move to the other thing was the window in the garage. If you go back to the original side view of the house, well, it's kind of covered up, isn't it? Well, the original, no, I guess you can't really see it. There's a window at the triangle of the garage that's out of proportion to, it's right up against the roof line, the right-hand corner. And
You can see it in that top right corner, hidden by the bushes.
hidden, yes.
We can see it though, yeah, you can see it. All of that vinyl will become brick, and then you'll get rid of the window.
And do you want to talk about the door? The garage door there is slightly different to what's in your elevations,
I want Tim, it'd probably be a really nice wooden door.
like the ones you had on your house.
The barn doors, we may do that. Those are, I don't know if my daughter's budget could survive that. Because this originally had a wooden door on it. If you look at the photos, the original photos, this is aluminum or something, some kind of metal door. So I think we should replace it with probably a wood door, a wood, what do you call it, an overhead door. I don't know if we'd want to have that because I know my daughter would want to drive into the garage and have a motor pulling the garage door up.
Yeah, so
Which door are we talking about?
the
Garage
garage
door.
door.
Okay.
What's shown there is different to what's on the property currently. So,
Simulated carriage door.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's wood.
exactly. Simulated carriage door, that's exactly.
Okay, but if you can give, for us, we're trying to work through this, if you can give us the detail for that particular door, that's what's going to possibly get approved today.
The drawing SD1, does that represent what you want it to look like? Okay, it's already in the application.
What color?
Amanda's not here.
It's probably going to be an off-white, I would think.
Match the trim,
That's the trim.
Shutters.
Perfect.
Yeah, maybe the shutters, yeah,
shutters.
the trim. Good.
Because the shutters are green, right? Okay.
I would match the trim.
Here we go.
though. Well,
That'll work.
it's your garage door.
Is that it? Did we officially work through all of the modifications?
What about the chimney cap and all the brick problems that are related to chimneys?
It has a solid concrete top to it, so there's no metal that I can see. I haven't been up there.
It's a brick, what do you call that?
Concrete arch.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a concrete arch. They've done some repairs up on top there, but it looks like that's in good shape.
The intent, though, is not to change it. If it needs repair, you just repair it.
Yes, sir.
Is there, sorry, you might have mentioned this. Is there dental molding under or above the,
Parts. It stops and it starts.
Dental molding's on the front of the house,
Yeah.
but on the sides, it doesn't exist.
but you'll keep it on the front and have the brick go up to it? Or you'll take that molding off too?
Taking the fascia piece, the trim piece off.
Yeah.
So what's the dental have to sit on?
I don't know if it would be dental or not. I think maybe just a small crown, because there's not that much real estate between the top of the window
Yeah.
Right.
and underneath. I will say, I forgot to mention, there's two different types of vinyl siding on this house. The smaller gables have a deeper vinyl siding. The other one has completely different vinyl siding. It's a hodgepodge,
But you're going to replace it all with uniform siding.
siding in brick.
And then the side lights of the front door, that's all staying the same other than the vinyl is being replaced by brick.
Actually, that's wood siding.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh my gosh. Okay, but it is going or that's staying
I
because
think we're
it's,
gonna make it cedar so it matches all the
Okay.
dormer.
Yeah.
and then the front door is staying the same? Because that wasn't part of the original one, right?
There's a screen door there, and obviously the door. I don't think we need to, we may take the screen door off.
Can you go back to SD1?
And the railing too?
Railing,
Railing have to have by code.
Okay, but in that same one?
Probably the railing along the sides you don't have to have because it's less than 2.5 feet. But we do have to have it going down the
Okay.
stairs.
And you'll just keep that same one then, the wrought iron?
Probably.
probably aluminum, but
That's
I
a
think
little-
we'll keep it.
Okay, we don't have
That's
to
like
deal
li-
with that?
That's like light fixtures. That's a little granular for us.
Cool.
I think those were, unless there are more questions, I think that covers it, doesn't it? I mean,
You may have to reiterate that list or repeat it to ourselves just to make sure
Oh
we've
God,
got
I
everything
have like
on
half
there
of them
first.
written down.
Possible, Maria, if when you type up the minutes of the meeting, is there some way you can listen to the recording and capture all this stuff? Great.
Can we make a motion that just captures everything that was discussed?
A lot of it is on this elevation,
Okay.
at least the
So we
stuff
can
that
say
you
anything that's in Exhibit X.
Yes.
Well, except for the other two sides of the house with all the stuff that's going on there. I just think that the shortest way to capture all that would be for somebody to dump into the approval. the
So
meeting.
when you make the motion,
List it?
list things, and then we'll have that definitely on the record for.
That's what I was going to say. That's why we have to go through vinyl siding to be replaced with cedar shake that'll be painted. The window at the garage to be closed with brick painted. And we just need to work through the list. So if we want to, I think we could, one of us could get it, maybe leave one or two out, then the rest of us could help them on those one or two missing pieces.
I have 10 things written down.
Why don't you take a stab at it? We won't close the record just yet. We'll leave Mr. Wright and Mr. Parson there to let us know if we've missed something. Then we'll close the record, then we can deliberate, then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Take a stab at it, Kara.
You want me to make a motion?
No, go
You want
through,
me to
go through
go
your
through the
list
list?
of
Okay,
all the
perfect.
add-ons
Okay.
that we will, if there's a motion, that the motion will say
Okay.
to be included.
So in addition to painting the brick, painting the shutters, and changing the roof.
Oop, stop with the changing of the shutters.
I know, yeah, do we need to say it because they're switching
Like-
the shutters?
Yeah, painting of the shutters is irrelevant now.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so add 2 columns to the front.
Yeah, and just one on the left, one on the right.
Oh.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Same height.
To match existing.
One on front. No, one on right and left to match existing, and moving the pediment back.
To match existing house.
Yeah. Good Lord. Okay.
Add an arch trim. to the
Yep.
Fascia above the door.
Add arch. Okay, let me read what I have, and then you guys can correct them. And so I have remove the dormers vinyl, remove wood trim, and replace it with brick. Do we have to say specifically? Okay, with brick or cedar shake.
To match.
Okay, to match.
Painted.
Yep. Use appropriate
And the trim you're removing is the fascia trim above the window.
Yes, wood trim, yep. Okay. Above window. Use appropriately sized functional shutters. You're adding lintels above the window. The
Soldier
windows.
course.
What did you say?
Soldier course.
Soldier course, yes.
Soldier, hold on. Add lintel. Soldier course? Great. Lintels. Adding a decorative attic vent.
Add what?
The decorative attic vent on the right side.
Both sides.
That little guy. Oh, it's on both sides. Okay.
Everything's the same all the way around the house.
Okay. Remove. Oh, I have this twice. So remove all vinyl and replace with brick or cedar.
Or hardy plank.
I can help
Hardy
you by
siding.
looking at SD1, restore porch area, remove windows. I mean, you got statements on the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Oh, yeah, can I just
if it's
read
already on
those?
SD1, if it's data's on SD1, we don't need to list it separately.
So can we just read everything that's on there? Is there anything not on there?
SD1, as in Exhibit X, that's been admitted into the record.
So we can just say that.
Yeah, I would just say go with SD1. If there's
Great.
any other little things that didn't make it on there, clarify those.
Okay, because I think the arch didn't make it on, right? Add crown molting.
Horizontal
details.
trim didn't make it on there.
What didn't?
Removing the horizontal trim above the windows and replacing that with brick is,
Remove, no, it says
re-
freeze, remove,
The,
I said remove freeze and add brick lintels.
yeah.
oh, yes, okay.
Appropriately sized shutters. Yeah, you said this all. Okay. Add exterior crown molding. So we don't have the arch detail above the door. We don't have moving the pediment back.
On the drawing.
There, but
It's
you're
on
saying
the
there's
drawing.
no label specifically.
Yeah, there's no label. So if we're reading through this,
But we're gonna put SD1 in the record, right?
yep,
Already in.
So if it's on SD1, we don't have to.
visually, not written.
That's
Okay.
good enough, because we're gonna say it's gotta match SD1.
Okay.
Yeah, is there anything that's not
on
on
there.
SD1 that you want specifically spelled out?
Which is
'Cause a lot of
replacing
it,
the window
it
in the
sounds like
back.
they're just doing the same thing on other elevations.
Yep.
Think of the SECI presentation. There's not a note on there, but we all know exactly what it is. with
Yep.
Minor exception. So that's all we're doing here.
Okay, so we're replacing the bottle stained glass window, however we describe that. Removing the louvered panels off the back. Is there anything else not on there?
Moving the 3 windows, I guess that's on there too.
Yeah, that's
it's
on
on
there.
there, yeah.
Moving the pediment back is not on there technically, though.
Pull that with a label, but you can see it there.
But you can't see that that's.
But normally, this is what we'd look at, and you
Yeah,
would
this
just
is
say,
off.
yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
I see.
Okay.
I think you covered it all. Nice job, Carol.
Okay.
If anybody's listening, this is not the way to do this.
Yeah. Okay.
Any shortcomings in the process of, I live in Wilmington right now, so I barely got the thing submitted, but I appreciate your patience with this. I think we have good ideas, and if it's been incomplete, it's my fault.
We appreciate the effort and the desire to make it congruous with Pinehurst.
Thank you. It'll be a cool house.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to remain seated. Is there anyone, any witness from the public that wishes to either speak in support or in opposition to this application? Judging from the hordes of people, none. We'll go ahead and close the record in this case. Any need for deliberation, or someone ready to make a motion?
Before we make a motion, we should say in the motion, I suggest we say in the motion that the allowance for painting the brick is a function of the amount of additional new brick that won't match. Just so that anybody else comes along and says, hey, you did it over here. How come I can't do it?
Do we have to say it in the motion if it's on record here?
My recommendation is that may be a mitigating factor for you, and it may not be for someone else.
And they would ignore it.
It's not whether there's
it's
a
not
crack in
part
the
of the
brick has
motion.
nothing to do with it's congruous or not. It just may be a factor for you personally, but at the end of the day, it's whether the painted brick is congruous with the historic district or not. I think they made a pretty darn good argument in front of us that there are more painted brick houses surrounding this one, and if anything, a new construction house that was not painted brick, one would easily argue it was not congruous.
So I do not disagree from a congruity perspective. However, they're applying for a certificate of appropriateness, and the standards indicate that it's not appropriate to paint the brick. Which I know I don't want to rehash the months we went through, but just to clarify where I stand, I agree in this case from a repair perspective and the new brick perspective that it's completely impossible to match. If you remove the siding, if you were to say, we're just going to change the siding from vinyl to cedar shake or hardy board, et cetera, I believe the conversation around painted brick would be different, because we'd say this home has been there since 1957 and the brick is repairable and we wouldn't be changing it. But because they want to change the entire facade and move the brick all the way up, you therefore can't match the brick. Therefore, in a new brick, new facade scenario, you would need to in some way make them match, the easiest being to paint.
Do you want me to just say it's not consistent with standards, but is congruous?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's an underlying message that the board members ought to, or commissioners ought to pay attention to, and that is if we think there's something broken in the standards, we ought to fix the standards, not just ignore them.
Concur.
We will agree with that. And
In the
remember,
meantime,
the standards are a tool for us. They used to be called guidelines. They're a tool. They're a helpful tool, but they're not the be-all, end-all. That's the reason we exist here, is to make the decision collectively as a group.
Walking through this process and we talk about congruous, I mean, that house, there were so many inconsistencies.
Yep.
Congruity that they got to get back to what it was.
Do
All
we
right.
need to, sorry,
Oh, yep,
last,
yep.
do we need to call out that the requested paint color is not on the approved color palette? Recognize it's close, recognize there's an alternate. Do we want to approve both? Or do we want to approve?
I think they're close enough. Maria does this all the time,
Yeah.
tries to find matching colors, and she's
Yep.
pretty successful. So
Wonderful color, just wanted to clarify.
do you want me to list that as a condition that we're approving all four colors? The whites and the greens?
It
It's in
just-
the application.
If you're approving the application,
Perfect.
they're approved.
Okay, ready?
Ready? Okay, roll on.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA 2025-00070, and find the proposed major work at 35 Short Road is not consistent with historic district standards, but is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact, with the condition that we are approving everything submitted in Exhibit X SD1, in addition to replacing the bottle window in the back and removing the louvered panels on the garage.
And can you please list the reason it's not consistent?
Oh, and it is not consistent because our standards dictate that painting brick is not appropriate.
Motion made by Karen Mathis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Justin Iverson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Congratulations, you have your COA. Thank you. We don't need a break now.
Yeah, I have a few things to say about Richard. This will be my last shot.
Do we want to hit and
We're
close?
gonna
it?
roast Richard
Let's
now.
close. Can we?
Yeah, I
let's-
guess
let's
we ought to
close the
do that
meeting-
first.
Let's close the meeting first.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I, let's see. Okay, concludes the public hearing. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular commission meeting?
So moved.
Are you guys locked in?
Oh no, that happened. Second.
Motion made by Justin, seconded by Kara. All those
In these
in
doors, because
favor?
they have a,
Oh, you're here for the roast. Aye.
Let me say that again. The motion was made by Justin, seconded by Kara. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now officially in a public meeting. You're all welcome to stay and observe, but only members of the commission and its staff may speak at this time. Anything on the minor work or staff approvals or any other business?
Anything what?
On the minor work side or staff, any or other business we need to discuss?
No.
Next meeting will be July 24th, as established at this meeting.
And we want to thank you, Richard, for your many years of service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank
It
you.
has been great working with you here, and hopefully we'll get to work with you on another board.
And hopefully-
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I will be a familiar face. I won't be going anywhere. It's not like I'm retiring. I'm
Yeah, I
maybe back
I-
up in front of you for a bit.
I hugely appreciate the pros and cons between Richard and me. I think he is a great counterpoint, and hopefully the homeowners will see the benefit of having people voice their opinions, and that happens here with good outcomes and without anger and remorse or sometimes some tears. No tears. So
Afterwards. That's
I
after the
really
meeting.
appreciate Richard being here and voicing his concerns, helping us through difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really do think the world could learn from, especially how you run meetings, but how these meetings go, because we have a lot of different opinions, and I feel like we work through them very well and diplomatically.
I feel the same way, and I think there's such a mutual respect here. And that's the whole, to me, that's the crux, is we all have opinions, we all have a voice, and we should all say it. And then we should hash it out here, and that's the beauty of us as lay people coming together on this highly subjective board to make a determination of what's congruous. And it's really here. We have tools, we have these items, they're there to help us, absolutely, so we don't run afoul, but it's you speaking your mind of saying why you have an issue with something. It's you saying why you have an issue with something. And a lot of the times we can work through it, and sometimes we soften our position, sometimes we don't. But that's the way this process is meant to work. And I'm glad to have left it in a position where I feel like we do that far more now than we did when I started. So I'm happy about that. And I think there's a great group of people on here, people getting experience in the role, and hopefully you all will stay through many, many more years, and then you guys can lead and mentor some of the other folks that come up underneath. So 2 years. 2 years. times two. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.